Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Smaldone here. So, what I'm going to do here is a series of short videos. The first one is on applied 5/7 and applied 7 diminished 7. Now, the 5/7 chord in the key of C is a G. And we call that Sol, Ti, Re, Fa. That's the 5/7 chord of C major chord. It's also the 5/7 chord of C minor. Now, what you need to remember is that that relationship of 5/7, G to C, and G to C major and G to C minor applies to every other major and minor chord on the keyboard. So if I wanted to find the dominant of D, I go up to the scale. There you go. That's 5/1 in the key of D. And there's 5/1 in the key of D minor. Now that D minor chord also belongs as the 2 chord in the key of C major. Let's do it from here. Right? So I could go from the C chord up a step, which means the upper voices go down, to a D minor chord, and then to a C chord. You should stop the video and try these as we're going through this. What I can do is, instead of simply going directly to the D minor chord in the key of C, I could make a 5/7 of the key of D. So I could go from that C chord to the 5/7 of D minor, and then continue the progression. That's an applied dominant. That same thing happens on every major and minor chord. In the key of C, we have a D minor, an E minor, an F major, a G major, and an A minor chord. So each of those could possibly have an applied dominant 7th before it, as that chord acts in the way that it would normally act according to the Roman numeral roadmap. So for example, I could go from the 1 chord to the 6 chord to the 4 chord to the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord. But instead of going directly to the 6, I could go to the 5 of 6. And then I could go to, instead of going to the 4 chord, I could go to the 5 of 4, and then to the 4 chord, and then I could go to the 5 of G. And each one of those chords could have its own applied chord. Now watch this. I could go from the 1 chord. I'm on my way to that A minor chord. Well, that B, that note B, is in the E G sharp B chord that is the 5 of 6. So I could do this. Watch. And then the G is in the C E G B flat. That's the 5/7 of F. And then the F sharp is in the D F sharp A C. That's the 5/7 chord of G. It's the same progression. 1, 6, 4, 5, 1 with applied dominance. The first one was all in root position. The second one had inversions. Now I can also go in the key of C, and I could play, instead of the 5 chord of A minor, I could play the 7 diminished 7. That time I played root position 7 diminished 7 of each of the chords, but I can also put those in inversion. And then I could do well, in inversion, why not? All right, so that's the essence of 7 diminished 7 and 5/7 as applied chords. So I'm going to ask you to do a little exercise. You're going to take that 1, 6, 4, 5, 1 progression and play it in some other keys. There it is in the key of F. And if I do that in the key of F, Then I can put in those applied chords. With or without the inversions. Try some of that.